Let's talk some sports, baby.
And remember, make tomorrow better than today and make today better than yesterday. And you know what we gonna do. We gonna holler at you until next time, baby.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and wrap it up tonight with a look at a weekend of college football. Our last week before the Big Ten joins the party featured the biggest matchup of the year so far. Number 2, Alabama put away number 3, Georgia in Tuscaloosa, 41-24. The Alabama defense struggled some out of the gate as Georgia kept pace in the first half, but Bama's onslaught of Najee Harris, Devontae Smith, and Jalen Waddle was too much once the Alabama defense joined the party. Besides that matchup, there were some other big games and a few upsets, but we'll go ahead and start with Georgia and Bama. Drink. Anything surprise you from this game, and are you confident that Alabama can go all the way? And also give us what else stood out to you over the weekend.
All right, first of all, I gotta talk to you about this lead-in. It's a little disrespectful, all right? Those 3 guys are weapons, but stop being disrespectful to my quarterback, Big Mac Jones, extra sauce, all right?
Big Mac.
He out here.
Mac, oh, my God.
That's good.
He out here
I like
spinning and willing and dealing. He done moved up to second in the Heisman odds.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? He out here doing his thing. While Trevor Lawrence out here beating up on Pop Warner kids, Mac Jones actually throwing the football against some defense. So, you know what I'm saying? Put some respect on her, extra sauce. With that said, here's the deal. I said this last week. In this game, it was one matchup that reigned over all, and that was the Alabama offense versus the Georgia defense. We got to see that pop off in the very first play of the game. Very first play of the game. You know, Matt Jones take his 3-step drop. He get ready to load it up, dial it up down the field, and Georgia got there with the blitz, and you seen what happened. He hit them, and they go to interception. And I thought to myself, as I'm looking at that, here we go. Here we go with some bull. Boop, God, mother, boop. I don't want to hear nothing about this NFL level offensive line. Hey, let's get it together, mother. You know, but surprisingly, Alabama defense showed up on their first drive, and they got the ball right back. It's weird. It's weird. If you actually remember this, just think about this. I want to say this happened in the last couple of games with Georgia, where they would get a turnover and then somehow they turn it back over. If you think about I forgot which one of the games, it might have been the national championship, when Tua he throws an interception because he just throws the ball to, I don't know who he was throwing the ball to, and I think it was Calvin Ridley, and Calvin Ridley was turned around and he wasn't paying attention or whatever, and the defender comes and get it, and then on the very next drive, Jake Fromm ended up throwing an interception back to Alabama, and Alabama got the ball back. So to see that happen in this game is kind of like, dang, that's kind of unique and quirky at the same time. With that said, listen, I thought this Georgia defense was as good as advertised. You got to understand this. I know people are going to say, oh, my God, Alabama put up 41 points on them. But you got to look in the whole context of this 41 points. That came off the strength of Alabama make adjustments at halftime against Stetson Bennett. Did I say Stetson Bennett? Let's talk about Stetson Bennett for a minute. Here's the deal. For all of you young Thundercats out there that, you know, have dreams to be a walk-on quarterback and your nickname is the mailman because you showed up looking like a mailman, you know, I don't want to crush no dreams here. And I understand people was hyping up Bennett here, and they like, oh, my God, you seen this guy? He was spinning against Tennessee. Well, that was Tennessee. Oh, my God, he did this against Arkansas. Are you kidding me? You comparing Alabama to Arkansas? Keep being disrespectful. But this guy, he showed you what it was. He has limitations. He has a ceiling, and it ain't that high. And he tried. But you notice this game, Alabama just did the fundamentals. Defensive line, they sucked in, and they just lift their arms up. And he had a lot of batted balls. They tell you right now. somebody get this guy a step stool because he can't step up in the pocket. And we seen that. Now, he made some good plays, but even a broken clock is good twice a day. And I say that to say this. Yeah, this guy can make some plays, but he ain't winning you nothing significant. That guy ain't – you might struggle to beat Florida with this guy. I'm just telling you right now. And mark my words, if this guy don't get better, you might lose to Kentucky too. Kentucky is bringing smoke defense out of the ball. Their offense just not all that good, but the defense playing some ball. So with that said, this guy ain't gonna get it done. They might want to go ahead and dial up JT Daniels. I'm hearing people say, well, DJ Mathis, he might could come in what league? It's sure not the SEC. I don't know what he ain't coming. In what league is he coming in? So I don't know, but I don't want to see that guy again. So if JT Daniels is healthy, maybe he could come in. But back to the future of Alabama. Here's the deal. 4 games in, we only playing 10 games this season. Alabama's not going to play another defense as good as Georgia. That's bar none. I looked at the schedule. I penciled it in. They're not going to play another defense. They might play some other offenses that's better than Georgia, but they won't play another team that's defensively better than Georgia. Georgia showed why they was considered the best defense in the nation. The crazy thing about all of this, as hyped as I am about the fact we won this big showdown, the problem is Alabama can play Georgia again this year in the SEC championship. So it's not over and done with. Georgia might as well run the table for the rest of the year. Alabama run the table, and then they meet again in Atlanta, and then we'll see what goes there. But as far as a high-quality win go this year, I think this is a reverse from last year where Alabama was playing a bunch of nobodies, a bunch of mouse pads and sticky notes, and then they ran into LSU, and we seen what happened. Well, that ain't happening this year. This all SEC schedule is going to force people to put some respect on whoever comes out of the SEC because we ain't playing no cupcakes around here this year, baby. And I think Alabama by far has the best win of any top team. Now, yeah, Clemson seems to be the most complete team. Did I say Clemson? 73-7, Georgia Tech? Scholarship check. I mean, let's be real here. Scholarship check. But hold up. So with that said, I was proud. I was happy. But it's still work to be done. And I'm hoping, listen, Alabama, let's not, get caught up in the trap game here and be so high off this Georgia game that we forget we got Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee ain't been looking good. Yeah, they got their quarterback out of the recycle bin. I know all that. But listen, let's make sure we put some respect on Tennessee. They still playing pretty good defense. Offense might not be so good, but their defense is still respectable. So let's put some respect on it. And I leave it there for the offense. I leave it there for that game. Other games that stood out to me, I just mentioned it. But before you do it, let me do it. Florida State out here, hey,
Yeah.
For anybody that want to tell me that North Carolina was a contender, look, they got them a piece of that primetime action, and you seen what happened. I seen Tomahawks. I seen it all going down. Florida State, they ain't been this happy in quite some time. And it was beautiful to see. I almost shed a tear for my boy Cody because I know he finally got a quality win, so we can't beat up on him every week. So kudos to Florida State. But let me go ahead and roll over here to Auburn. Go out down here and lose to South Carolina. Yeah, Bo Nix. Oh, okay. I thought I seen his name in the Heisman race before the season started. But I guess that's why they call them preseason odds, right? Gus Malzahn, is word on the street is that seat might be getting a little hot. And from what I'm told, you don't even got a seat warmer. So with that said, it's looking a little shaky down there in Auburn, Alabama. Bo Nix, I've always considered him as one of the most overrated players in the college football landscape right now, and he's starting to show that. He's not looking good at all. He's looking, if you ask me, downright awful. So Gus Malzahn, you're gonna have to pull one of them, turn your running back into the quarterback type deals if you want to save your job, because it's looking pretty shaky overall. So yeah, with that, kudos to my boy. Oh, hold on. Let me bring that back. Y'all seen the GOAT out there. I forgot to bring up the GOAT. You seen him out there beat COVID. That's 1-0 right there. Took COVID on out of here. And he made a masterful defensive change in the second half. I didn't even know who them boys was. I was like, oh, they got on the wrong jersey. I couldn't believe that defense I was seeing out there. But we'll see if that can hold. Clemson, 73-7. Georgia Tech, it's time, you might get moved to the group of 5 after this one. You didn't even try to show up. This UCF would have played better than that. I don't know what that is. Really, Clemson out here with the straight layups. All right, this is Shaq in his prime. We just gonna do a whole bunch of dunking, whole bunch of just ain't nobody even guarding me. That was ridiculous. So, hey, overall, I thought it was a good weekend of action. I can't wait for next weekend.
I just, I was gonna stay away from any Florida State jabs. I gotta you set me up, because if Georgia Tech's moving to the group of 5 and is on scholarship check, Cody.
I was here thinking the whole time. I'm like, oh no, we lost to them.
Yeah, that's right,
At
folks.
home.
Your group of 5 scholarship check has a win against Florida State this year.
They do.
I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it.
Absolutely do. Yep.
It was a perfect setup. He put it right on the tee for me.
My bad, Cody. I didn't mean
We didn't
to
get
do
the
it.
email
Sorry,
that
man.
Paul Johnson left. We didn't know our game plan was wrong, man. That's what
y'all showed up for the triple option. Yeah.
But we were all ready for it, man. We were
Let's go. But let's go to the main event. And really, I don't want to say the only event, but the main event in town. Everything else absolutely secondary. Alabama and Georgia. I think Drink said it pretty quickly. Right up front, Mac Jones. I think ever since we saw Mac Jones play last year, we saw him a little bit with when Tua was out. Mac Jones looks good. I don't know how good, and as far as his NFL prospects, but I mean every time I've seen him play, I come away pretty impressed. Even against Auburn last year when they ended up losing, he had a couple really bad interceptions, but for the most part, he was doing his thing out there. And against Auburn's traditionally they play pretty well on the defensive side of the ball. So to see his success and the way he's been playing so far, I think it's been outstanding. The numbers are off the charts with what I'm looking at. And what a luxury to go from Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs and just, here you go. Not a downgrade in sight. Just Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's electric. And I always thought last year, I looked at Jeudy first, but for some reason, I came away more impressed with Devontae Smith than Henry Ruggs. And that's not a knock on Henry Ruggs. That just speaks to the talent of these guys as a whole. And then you throw John Mechie in there, who got it started.
Yeah,
John
Mechie.
Night. Yeah. So they got a trio of dudes who can absolutely get it done. They're going to be tough to deal with. And then, of course, what are you going to do with this dude, Najee Harris? This dude just gets it done. 5 touchdowns last week and a great performance against Georgia this week. And then in the big picture, as you look, you think about Bama in terms of their national title hopes. I think that second half got to be really encouraging, because with explosive and as dominant as they can be offensively, if they defend with any degree of consistency, I think at this point you'd have to look at them as maybe the favorites. That's how I see it right now. And of course, and by the way, speaking of those defensive adjustments, are you saying it was Nick Saban that made those adjustments and not one Pete Golden?
Look, Pete Silver, all right, did not make those adjustments. I repeat, Pete Silver did not make those adjustments.
Okay, I just want to get that straight because you gave it to Nick. I just want to confirm that with you. As far as the other action that we saw, I think that Clemson win or that Georgia Tech loss, I think that was the most lopsided loss in ACC history. I feel like that's saying something, because Clemson been whooping up on fools for a while now. So not one you want. I thought Georgia Tech was on the come up. I don't know what that was though.
And coming up all right. I can breathe.
Yeah, it's Auburn. I don't know. The one thing I'm gonna say about Auburn is it seems to me it's Alabama and everybody else in that SEC West. So I think we've seen enough of Gus Malzahn to. I think we should maybe don't be so quick as to count him out, because it seems like traditionally, like quarterback, I don't know if he's really ever had that elite level dude that you look at and say, oh, that Auburn, you can't stop him. So, and it seems like every other year he's on the hot seat. So I would just be hesitant to how quickly we go on that.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Well, I'm gonna give him.
Get out of here.
I'm gonna give him. Okay. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's gonna get it turned around somewhat. It's gonna be one of them things. Well, even last year when Bo Nix didn't look so hot, I mean, he looked like absolute garbage against Oregon for 3 quarters. Then all of a sudden he figured out he make 2 or 3 throws. Like, oh, they did it. You looking at the stat sheet? How did they do it? These numbers are awful. You can't even figure it out. And then Tennessee, I'm about to. Yeah. I guess I tried to, I was talking Tennessee up a couple weeks ago, and I'm already over it. I mean, Kentucky, really, 34-7, what a tragedy. Guantanamo, whatever his name is. I think they need to be about done with him. We need to try. Jeremy Pruitt, hit the recruiting trail. Let's try again. That's about it. And I reclaim my time I'm gonna cede all my time over to Cody, the good host. You are more than welcome to take all the time you want for the Florida State Seminoles.
Oh, I would not dare bore our listeners to death with tales of a less good Florida State team that still is. But I did want to start with the Georgia-Alabama game. Now, admittedly, I was a little distracted by the complete, just unbelievable event I was watching on the other TV, as I thought maybe I had just slipped through the twilight zone or someone had drugged my drink before kickoff. But anyway, the one thing I do – thinking about the Georgia-Alabama game a little bit, those games are always fun because these teams recruit so well. You get to see what is likely several NFL players on both sides of the offensive and defensive lines go at it. And I thought that Georgia not won the battle, but they were competitive in that battle. But does it seem like Georgia's skill position guys just aren't up to par? Like that's not something they've typically, like, they don't recruit these Jalen Waddles and Henry Ruggs type dudes. It doesn't seem like as much, but that's really becoming an issue. I mean, I know they've had a couple guys here and there, and I know the running backs. I guess the running backs would be obviously the exception, and they got Dalvin Cook's brother doing some stuff, but it looks like the receivers just really aren't that great. So Stetson Bennett, I'm not really sure what more he could have really. I think he could have played better, but expecting him to compete with the level of weapons that Alabama has, I mean, Georgia's going to have to win games 24-20. I mean, they can't go score 40-50 a game. It's just not going to happen. And I think that the difference really was Alabama's skill position really just shone through in that game. But real quick, I got a question for both of y'all. Kirby Smart, right? Real quick, just for the record, he gets a lot of Mark Richt comparisons after this past season, through 4 seasons fully. Mark Richt was 42-10 with 1 SEC title. Kirby Smart is 43-12 with 1 SEC title. Kirby gets extra games in the playoff, blah, blah, blah. Do we think that Georgia is already thinking?
Here's a caveat. I hear this a lot. I already know where you're going with this, right?
It's coming up. It's coming up. Big topic.
But he got them to a national championship, and that you can ride that wave for about 5-6 good years because it's so hard to get to the national championship, especially in this playoff era. That as long as he keep recruiting at the level that he's doing, and keep Georgia in the SEC championship, and if he makes another playoff or 2, it will keep him there. Now, because you have to ask yourself, how long will Nick Saban hang around? How long will Nick Saban be in the SEC? If Nick Saban retired tomorrow, who would be the favorite? You see what I'm saying? So the problem with Mark Richt was he was running into Nick Saban during his prime, and it was like, yo, this dude ain't going nowhere no time soon. You ain't taking us nowhere anytime soon. And on top of that, he never got Georgia to a national championship. He never beat Alabama at a marquee stage. Yes, I got it. Kirby Smart neither, but Kirby Smart played in the national championship. You got to put some respect on that. And we know, Nick he creeping up. He's creeping up. In age. He's only going to be there for so long. So I think he got a little rope to play with as long as he keep recruiting at the high level that he's recruiting at.
I think the biggest thing to always remember about really any coach in the SEC that isn't Nick Saban, and I know there's a whole lot of expectations that come with that. Nick Saban, for the most part, and you can throw kind of last year as kind of an anomaly, but Nick Saban's got that. The conference run, everything goes through Nick Saban. He's kind of got a monopoly on it. So it's always going to be hard, and it's always going to be. It's almost like Bill Belichick in the NFC East. You're fighting uphill from the beginning. I do think, given the expectations at Georgia and what they expect, having the national championship appearance already, I think that helps. But at some point, I mean, you do get the feeling that, given all the hype, I think Georgia coming into pretty much every season, they got, after Alabama, they're the most hyped SEC team in my mind. And you would think at some point you'd like to beat Bama once. And I don't know, what is this, a third or fourth time maybe that they've met since Kirby Smart left Bama? And you'd like to be able to beat them one time. And speaking of Nick Saban, yeah, I don't know how long he's going to be there, but what if he's got, 5 to 10 more years? I'm just throwing out a number. If he's got 5, I don't know how long he's got left. I'm just throwing that number out there. If he's got 5+ more years, Kirby, you got to beat him one time. I think Georgia is going to consider continuing to come up short over and over against Nick Saban. No matter how long he's there, unacceptable.
But to that question, so if Georgia is beating everybody else in the conference and they only lose to Alabama, you have to ask yourself, okay, cool. This is kind of like the Jim Harbaugh argument with the Big Ten, right? Like he struggled with Michigan State and Penn State, less known Ohio State. If it was one of those things, I would agree. But Georgia really take care of business with everybody else in the conference. Alabama's the only team they're not beating. So do you really want to fire a coach over one team? I got it, Mark Richt, but like I said, he made it to the national championship, and Mark Richt didn't consistently recruit at the level that Kirby Smart recruits at. So sometimes the grass ain't always green on the other side. We'll see, but that's just my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Yeah, this topic's come up in a national conversation again. And I think what it really comes down to is Georgia, again, just has another disappointing – they get up for one of these games and then they're just deflated again. And Nick Saban, once again, is pulling it away. And, that story repeated itself a lot. Like you said, when Mark Richt was there, and just wonder how many more years they're going to put up with it here, especially with the recruits he's getting. You got to think, man, put it together at some point, but – here nor there. Moving on from that game, obviously, big credit to Alabama, took care of business. I think they solidified themselves to the 1A to the 1B of Clemson once again. So for like the 6th straight year, that is the landscape. And it really doesn't feel like there's any team that's close right now to number 3. I mean, number 3 feels like an ocean between 1 and 2. And maybe we'll see if another team can challenge that. I look at the rest of the games of the weekend. Miami bounced back, but that loss in Clemson really takes the wind out of the ACC sails. You got Notre Dame at number 3, but I think we're going to find out Notre Dame is really not all that good, which is no surprise there.
I'm
it's been
not
like
sold
that for
on
years.
Notre Dame.
Like y'all said, Mark Stoops.
You know who I think number 3? I'm not even. Y'all might laugh. I think the number 3 team in the country is Texas A&M. I'm not even bullcrapping. If you actually look at it, that game wasn't as bad with Alabama as it looks on paper. And then you go and see what they did on Florida, and you look at the rest of that top 10. Give me another team outside of Clemson and Alabama that could beat Texas A&M that's in that top 10. Because, we haven't seen Ohio State play yet. We haven't seen them play yet.
Really, that's the wild card. And I guess you could say Georgia could also be if Georgia A&M played today, I'd probably pick Georgia, but it'd be close. It'd be a toss-up. But it just feels like Clemson, Alabama again. But I'll take just a minute here. I am going to congratulate my Florida State Seminoles real quick. Job well done. Even though they tried to blow it at the end of that game, I was thinking, man, we're going to rewrite the choke at Doak because we're going to need that phrase from history to come up again. Of course, referencing the '94 game where they rallied back against Florida to tie it up. But here nor there, the biggest thing for Florida State, this is a landmark win for Mike Norvell, obviously. Desperately needed win. The arrow was starting to trend up a little bit over the last couple of weeks, but I think that what we really saw was coaching adjustments that we never saw with Willie Taggart, or even the last year or two with Jimbo Fisher. This staff took a new quarterback. They completely ripped up all the game plans. They rewrote everything, and they've gotten these guys to play to their abilities. And it's just something we never saw with Willie Taggart. And that's people ask, well, why was Willie fired for 2 seasons? because they never did something like this. They really never got that win that says, oh, okay, this guy can turn it around. After this win, I already feel like Mike Norvell could turn this team around eventually. Not next week, not the end of the season or whatever, but he's already to me proven I'm a good coach. I can game plan. I can adapt. I can overcome. That's what they did. I think really the coaching is what's turned the team around. So it's good news for that. Although they did really try to blow it at the end, that last drive. I mean, let's be real, North Carolina just dropped a bunch of passes and lost because they couldn't just catch a ball to hit them in the hands. But hey, that's how it is, I guess. So yeah, big win there, and yeah, the rest of the action for the weekend was nice, but I'm really looking forward to next weekend, which we'll get into Friday when we get the Big Ten back. So look forward to that.